Hello everyone and welcome back to Let's Play Pokemon SoulSilver. I have an idea. I'll give you our numbers and you can check on the Pokemon we raise for you. So in a move I really like, despite not liking how the Pokegear works in Heart Gold SoulSilver too much, you actually can call the daycare center to figure out how your Pokemon are doing while you're in there. Call from time to time when you want to give us Pokemon to raise. I'll be able to have a use for this Pokegear my grandchild gave me. Even though I will never do that because I don't have a use for the daycare center with how I tend to play the game. One of my favorite encounter themes right there, by the way, even though you don't get to hear it too much. It's a nice little Gen 1 remix. With that said, time for a new Pokemon. Policeman Keith here has Growlithe. Growlithe is a pure fire type, meaning that it is weak to precisely ground, rock, and water. Growlithe is the attack-focused version of Vulpix's line, essentially. They're very focused on special attack and physical attack, and they get really good speed to go along with that. And when you use a Firestone on them to evolve them once they have the moveset you want, they get even better at that because their evolution is faster, has a much higher physical attack stat, and really good special attack. They are notably a line that got better after the physical special split because that means they can take advantage of their type as well as the same attack type bonus. Because I don't even think I've talked about that. When a Pokemon uses a move that matches their type, they get a 50% power bonus, unless it's, I believe, a dual type mon, in which case they only get a 25% power bonus, somewhere abouts there. I would recommend it, and since you can find one of these over on Route 36, just west of Violet City, depending on your version at least, I could really recommend it if you're playing the version you can find them. So let's talk more about the daycare center real quick. I briefly mentioned last time, Pokemon gain experience as you walk around outside the area, and it's more accurately, they gain exactly 1 experience point per step. However, if they learn a new move at level up, they automatically learn it replacing whatever they have, and they will not evolve while they're in there. For now, though, time for another new Pokemon. This is Psyduck. This is a pure water type, meaning that it is weak to grass and electric. High special attack, and the rest of the stats are all just about equal. I want to say after it evolves, it gains more of a specialty in special attack, but I think even then its stats are still relatively equal. There are worse water types you could use, but there's also a lot better water types. Mind you, you can say that more for water types, I think, than any other type, because if memory serves, there are more water type Pokemon, subtype or otherwise, in the series than any other Pokemon type. If not combined, just in general. Either way, how about we wrap up talking about Kurt's Pokeballs, because we've been on that for a few parts now. The next one he can make is the level ball made from red apricorns. That thing's catch rate entirely depends on your level relative to the wild Pokemons. If you're less than or equal to, it's a 1x catch rate. If you're at a higher level but less than double of the wild Pokemon, it's 2x. If it's more than double but less than 4x, it's 4x the catch rate. But if you're at least 4x level the wild Pokemon, it's an 8x catch rate, which is ridiculous, but also incredibly situational, mostly just for randoms on the routes. Then there's the level ball made from white apricorns. That thing has a 4x catch rate against Pokemon with a base speed stat of 100 or more. And then finally there's the moon ball made from yellow apricorns. That has a 4x catch rate against Pokemon who have an evolution in their line that uses the Moonstone. That's all the Pokeballs Kurt can make you. I find 2 of them potentially useful if you're going for Pokedex completion, but otherwise, not really worth the effort to get apricorns, then take them to him and wait a day. The annoying thing to me about Pokeballs in Heart Gold SoulSilver is that Gen 4 had a lot of really useful Pokeballs that you can only get through one way usually in here, and that's in this building. Welcome to Goldenrod City, by the way. This is the largest town in Johto, and now we're in the Goldenrod department store. The Goldenrod department store is more or less this game's equivalent to the Celadon one from Kanto. 5 floors, technically 6 from memory. Each one has a different focus in terms of what it sells. For instance, the first floor here is just to pick up anything that your mom sent you, or if you get any of the mystery gift events to get various Pokemon for, when that was available, at least with the Wi-Fi connection, you could do that. First floor is your standard Pokemon. Potions, status healers, items to escape dungeons, revives, all that kind of stuff. I believe you can buy some items here earlier than you can anywhere else, and this is also where I'm going to start stocking up on Ultra Balls, because this is my favorite type of Pokeball in the game, just because it has the highest catch rate that you can easily obtain without having to wait a day for very specific circumstances. Third floor, when we got up to there, is where you can buy the X stat items, which I don't even think we've talked about those, even though we've picked up a couple. They are items that are exclusively meant for use in battle that raise up certain stats. Essentially, it's a way to use a stat-up move without using a move for it, and they have very particular uses if you're doing very particular strategies, but to me, I've just never found point in using them. They're better for me to sell in most cases, honestly. The fourth floor is where you buy the permanent stat-enhancing items that raise the base stat of a Pokemon by, I think, like, the equivalent of one full set of effort values or something like that. I don't buy any of these, but any that I pick up, I do eventually use on Pokemon that are a bit weak in that particular stat. The fifth floor is entirely for TMs. There are some good TMs here. You can notably get things like Solar Beam, Focus Blast, Fire Blast, Thunder, Blizzard, Hyper Beam. They're extraordinarily powerful, but either moves that need you to recharge after using, or have low accuracy type moves. And then the sixth floor is like the roof on the original department store. You can buy lemonade, fresh water, and soda pop from the vending machines there, which are cheap but decently effective healing items. There is also noticeably a lottery you can do here for, I think, some relatively cheap amount of money, and the prizes of that depend on the day. For instance, if it's Sunday, first prize is TMO2, which is Dragon Claw, but second prize is a Luxury Ball. Monday, it's Shadow Claws TM and a Nest Ball. Tuesday, it's Flash Cannons TM and a Repeat Ball. Wednesday, it's Charge Beams TM or a Net Ball. Thursday, it's Drain Punches TM or a Quick Ball. Friday, it's Facades TM or a Dusk Ball. And then on Saturday, it's Silverwind or a Timer Ball. Notably, I believe that's the only way you can get any of those particular types of Pokeballs in Heart Gold, Soul Silver without doing some sort of hacking. If you don't get any of the first two prizes, you just get a random berry between a Cherry Berry, Chesto Berry, Pekka Berry, Rost Berry, Aspear Berry, Oran Berry, or Person Berry. It's a decently consistent way to get those types of berries, but you can only do it once per day. I don't like to spend a lot of time here in the department store in this generation, if only because, barring the occasional good TM here, it's not as useful as the department store in Kanto, if only because you can't buy evolutionary stones. I really wish they did that more often, especially in this game, because the main way you get evolutionary stones is much more annoying. But at least like that it's here, so if you want to buy some things, you can. I appreciate the all-in-one store much more usually than the average Pokemart until they changed how Pokemart's work starting in, I think, Gen 7, where they were always in just the Pokemon centers? Or did that start in Gen 5? I forget. One of those two. Either way. Next up, though, let's take a look at this generation's Game Corner. Noticeably, the last generation to have a Game Corner at all. And it's a little bit different here in Heart Gold Soul Silver to begin with than it was even in the original Gen 4. My name is Mr. Game. My heart pounds with excitement when people enjoy my coin game. In fact, that's what I live for. You look like quite a challenger. Why don't you play my coin game? You can get fabulous prices if you manage to collect a lot of coins. Sure. Alright, here's your coin case. So, the Game Corner in this is useful to get certain items and Pokemon. Namely, you can get some very particular TMs, you can get Pokemon here that are hard to find, barring one of them. You can find Abra, Sandshrews, or Ekans, depending on your version, and Dratini is here relatively early. But the problem with the Game Corner here is its Voltorb flip. I'm not a big fan of Voltorb flip. It's usually described as being somewhere between Picross and Sudoku, and that's a bit of a truth to that. You got rows that show how many points they have on it and how many Voltorbs they have on it. Your goal here is to get all of the 2s and 3 panels, because that allows you to move on to the next level where you get better rewards. And I believe you get multiplicatives of coins for every one of the 2 and 3s you get. So you start getting 1, then you get 3, 12, and all that kind of stuff. Usually level 1 ends around 12. There are formulas to this, but I'm just going to recommend if you want to get any money from this consistently in order to actually get the rewards, you're gonna want to just use an online calculator. Those are relatively reliable in my experience. Notably though, Voltorb Flip is what's the only game here in the Western and Korean versions. The Japanese version still had the traditional slot game put in here, but I believe it was due to concerns over new PEGI rules at the time in Europe that made them remove it from the Western versions, and starting in Gen 5 on, they just don't have game corners anymore. Do I miss them? A little bit, but to me the game corner was never a super essential part anyway. Like, the best things you can get out of it is just getting decent moves early on for the TM side of it, like here in Heart Gold Soul Silver. For 10,000 coins each, I think you can get Flamethrower, Ice Beam, or Thunderbolts TM, which are really good to get at this point in the game if you want to put in the effort, but that is also a lot of effort. I wouldn't even recommend doing it for the Dratini Pokemon early on, because you get a better Dratini down the road if you do something right anyway. The best thing you can get from this is being able to get Sandshrew or Ekans depending on your version. Because that's the only way you can get them normally in the game without doing trading. And like I mentioned last part, I believe, I do like the Sandshrew line, so it would be a good idea if you're playing SoulSilver, I'd say, overall. I know a lot of people that really do like Voltorb Flip, but to me, it's just never really grabbed me. But that's, again, because I never was really grabbed by the game corner anyway. I much prefer when they allow you to just straight up buy coins with your money and then just use that, but they removed that for the Western and Korean versions. That was in the Japanese version still. So that's rough, but oh well. Thankfully, this is just the last game this mechanic's in. Also, I haven't shown it off at this point yet, but you don't have to blind guess this if you're trying to figure out what's where. They do give you tools to, like, place down a Voltorb icon if you think there's one there and all that. But at the end of the day, it is still technically gambling, so it's pure luck what's going to be placed where. I do appreciate the logic element to this, compared to just the straight-up luck of the slot machines. But overall, it's just not for me. The only reason I'm still really here is because I do want to mention, I love the Game Corner theme in Gen 2 and in its Heart Gold Soul Silver remix. One of my favorite songs. In the original game, it sounded outright like it'd be right from, like, Mega Man Battle Network at the time or something, but again, I don't even recommend going for the Dratini because you can get a better Dratini down the line anyway. The biggest advantage you'd have for this one, I think, is that it starts at a lower level, so you could get more EV value stats out of it, but the held items aren't anything too useful for casual players either. I guess the one that could be the most useful there is the Metronome, which boosts the power of moves, I think, by a certain percent for every single time you use it consecutively. So if you're just spamming, like, Flamethrower on something, it could be useful, but not too much to my tastes. Next up is this house. Oh, you collect Pokemon? My son Bill's an expert. He just got called to the Pokemon Center in Ecruteak City. My big brother Bill made the Pokemon storage system. That's nice. I'm sure that house will never come back into play again, right? Next up, we're gonna head right into this little tunnel here because it's time for the next major point of interest here in Goldenrod. As well as a very familiar Meryl. Hello, Lyra. Hi, Kyle. You're just in time. When you follow this tunnel, you'll see a dress-up shop. That's where your Pokemon can put on accessories to dress up and take pictures. By the way, here's the fashion case. Did you say you want it? I knew it. This is a present from me. The fashion case doesn't get much use here in Heart Gold Soul Silver. Keep accessories in the fashion case, okay? I should get going. See ya. The fashion case is mostly used for minor accessories you pick up at various NPCs or doing mini-games throughout the game in order to put little pictures, little pieces of accessories on your Pokemon for a picture that was only ever useful in some form of multiplayer, like you could see other people's little creations and all that. For this playthrough, it's never being used really because you really can't use it without multiplayer. Either way, time for our next new Pokemon. This is Grimer, pure poison type, so it's weak to ground and psychic. For a first form Pokemon, this has a really good HP and I think physical attack stat, and when it evolves, it keeps those really good stats but makes them better and gains some pretty good defenses as well. It's not too good at speed from memory, but this can be a really good line if you're just looking for a Pokemon that doesn't have too many weaknesses while still being a good tank. The big problem for me for this line is I don't think you can catch it for a good while here in Heart Gold Soul Silver, and its learn set isn't the best overall. Also, a speed up theme for this part is the Jacob Orbital Elevator theme from Mega Man X8, but it's specifically its remix from Mega Man X Dive. And already time for our next new Pokemon. It's Jesse's old favorite, it's Lickitung. Lickitung is a pure normal type, meaning it is weak specifically to fighting and immune to Ghost. Lickitung has a good HP stat and focuses especially on its defenses while its attacks tend to suffer, so does its speed. Which on its own isn't much, but in Generation 4 it ended up gaining an evolution that really specializes in HP and its defenses while getting a decent attack boost. So, Gen 4 beyond, I could say this Pokemon's really worth using. Gen 3 prior, not so much. Problem is, if you want one of them, you're going to be waiting a while because you can't catch one of them until you've done the first 7 gyms and some other side plot stuff. So, debatably not worth going for until after that. Either way, so Goldenrod Tunnel focuses on 3 shops that are open at various times in the week. The main thing is the massage parlor, where there's the older and younger brother that alternates depending on the day except for Mondays. The younger brother is cheaper, but has worse service usually, but has a chance of increasing friendship higher than the older brother can. The older brother is consistent, but more expensive. On Sunday and Saturday, there's the herb shop where you can buy the herbs that are basically replacements for potions and revives, but actively harm friendship for Pokemon. And on Monday mornings, there is the bargain shop that sells things like nuggets, the pearls, stardusts, and star pieces, which are items exclusively made for selling, but they sell them at a 10% price reduction. So, say a nugget I think sells for somewhere around 5,000. You can buy one for like 4,500 or so. So ultimately worth just buying out all their stock and then selling it for a minor profit. Next new Pokemon though is a Magnemite. Electric Steel type starting from Gen 2 beyond, because Steel and Dark types were added in the original Gen 2, meaning this Pokemon's weak to Fighting, Ground, and Fire, and immune to Poison. Ground is a 4 times weakness. Magnemite heavily specializes in its special attack stat. While its defense stats are okay, the rest of its stats aren't really much to note. The Steel type did a lot for this Pokemon though overall, as even its evolution in the original games made its stats very much more focused on its special attack. Gen 4 added another evolution to its line that got even more focused on its defenses and special attacks. So I'd say if you're looking for an electric or steel type, you could do a lot worse, but there are some cases where you could also do a little better. The big problem is without doing some sort of hacking, you cannot get its second evolution in Heart Gold Soul Silver, because the field you need to level up its evolution within to get it to evolve into its third state just does not exist in Heart Gold Soul Silver at all. You need to trade that over from Diamond, Pearl, or Platinum, which sucks. Nose Pass, who also got an evolution in Gen 4, has the exact same problem. Not that I think you can easily find Nose Pass in Heart Gold Soul Silver, but either way. Next new Pokemon is a Voltorb, pure electric type, so it is weak to Ground specifically. Voltorb doesn't have a lot of stats going for it, but it has an extraordinarily high speed stat for a first form Pokemon, so that's its main draw. You're trying to get your attacks in quick and hope they land hard, and its evolution that it always had really, is even more focused on that speed stat. It's one of the highest speed stats, I think it's still top 300-ish, so it's very worth having around potentially for that specific angle. The problem is, there's just better specialized Pokemon with speed stats, I find, and better electric types overall. So overall, mileage may vary, I guess, is on that one if you like your Pokemon fast but they don't hit too hard. This is the name writer. You can re-nickname Pokemon there, barring ones you get in a trade. So if you don't like your nickname, you can just change it. And here's the gym. The gym leader, Whitney, went flying by saying, "I've got to get a radio card." Well, I guess we can't do anything here yet. This is the Goldenrod Flower Shop. There's not much we can do here for now, but this place does serve one important progression note. Apparently there's an odd tree on Route 36. They say it dances when you water it. Oh, of course not. This is a flower shop, so we do have watering cans and things like that, but I cannot let you have one. It's too dangerous. Well, maybe if you manage to defeat the Goldenrod gym leader, it might be okay. So we have to come back here after we beat the gym. So time for our next note down on the southeastern side of Goldenrod, because more or less every direction in the city has something going on in it. There are two things to note here. First off is this house. The lady in this house will judge your Pokemon's happiness rating. The main reason this is here is so you can figure out whether or not they'll be good with certain moves, or if they're getting close to doing a friendship evolution. More on what those are down the road. I also should note, I forgot to mention, back in the Goldenrod department store, on Sundays, there's a lady on one of the floors who will give you either the frustration TM or the return TM, depending on your Pokemon's happiness value. The return TM is definitely the better one to get in my eyes, but frustration, I guess, is nothing to wave your hands at.
I opened a branch here, but I can't sell my bicycles. Why is that? Could you ride a bicycle and advertise for me?
Sure.
Really? Great. Give me your name and phone number and I'll loan you a bike.
Sure. Easiest bike to get in the series, I find, barring the one in Gen 3. Bikes are just faster traversal. They do, similarly to running, attract trainers to you in case they're the ones that rotate their perspective around. And you do have to listen to the same bike theme over and over again unless you just skillfully maneuver the routes back and forth and make the music reset. But it's worth getting this because it's just a free bike. I'm not going to use this too much from memory because I do like the slightly tighter control of just running around because your control is a little looser on bike. But it's there. This is the magnet train line. We're not going to look into this place for a while because there's not much point to. They built the new radio tower to replace the old creaky one. Wait a second, isn't that a Team Rocket grunt?
So this is the radio tower. What do you want, you pest? Scram!
Okay, God, jeez, I'll just go in. The radio tower has a couple of things of note to start. First off, the second receptionist is the lottery corner. This lottery generates a 6 or 7 digit number, I forget how many it is, and matches that against your own trainer ID number that's generated at the start of your playthrough. If the last digit matches only, you get an Ultra Ball. If the last 2 digits match, you get a PP up. If the last 3 digits match up, you get an EXP share for free. If you match the last 4 digits, it's a max revive, but if you match every single digit, as unlikely as that is, you get a free Master Ball. It's the only other way besides the usual one you get through plot progression that you get. For instance, mine is 02316. I have never won really anything from this, so it's not worth doing. Hello there.
Hi, my name's Whitney. I heard about the quiz to win a radio card, so I came here to get one. But this quiz is so hard.
Oh. She might be just a tad bit important. I love Mary from Pokemon Talk. I only know what she sounds like, though. And that's key information. We have a special quiz campaign. Answer 5 questions correctly in a row to win a radio card. When you load it into your Pokegear, you'll be able to listen to the radio. Anytime, anywhere. Would you like to try our quiz? Sure. The first question, can you check the temp map with your Pokegear? Yes, you can. Need the card for it, though. You are correct. Second question. Nidorino can only be female, true? Yes, that is the evolution of Nidoran female. Nidoran male's evolution is Nidorino. You are correct. Question 3. Kurt, the Pokeball creator, uses apricots as ingredients. No, he uses apricorns. Apricots are a very real fruit that is debatably delicious. You are correct again. Fourth question. It's impossible to use a TM on Magikarp. True? Absolutely true. You can not use TMs on Magikarp, but can only ever learn Splash and Flail. Wow, I only have one more question to go. In Professor Oak's popular show, Pokemon Talk, is he on with Marie? No, he's on with Mary. That is a very dickish question that only works if you're reading it, honestly. Bingo, you got it. Congratulations. Here's your prize, a radio card. And we can now listen to radio on our Pokegear, as limited as it is. Wow, you did it! I thought the answer to the third question was surely apricots. Oops, it's time to go back to the gym. So we needed to do that in order to activate the gym. But there is something we can also do here if we come upstairs. Namely, the radio program directly beneath us. By the way, the radio itself, you can listen to 4 set channels that range between a radio drama, Professor Oak's talk show with Mary, where they talk about where rare Pokemon can be found. Same with Swarms. There is the music channel that broadcasts music depending on the time of day. There's the Lucky channel that once a week, it does basically the same thing as the lottery. It generates a trainer number. The Variety channel is the most interesting one, because that does either, I think, Buena's password or just a few random other things. Buena's password is the most interesting thing there. Hi, I'm Buena. Do you know about the radio show called Buena's Password? If you can tell me the password from the program, you'll earn points. Save up those points and trade them with that sweet young lady over there for some choice prizes. Here you go, it's your own very own point card. So if you listen in and get the password right, you get points to spend here at Buena's Password Blue Card Shop. This allows you to get things like Pokeballs, full restores, some of the stat boosting items. The most notable things you can get are a nugget and rare candy. Rare candies boost your level by 1 for free. But I never do this because it takes so much time to save up points that it's just not worth the effort to me. It's there if you want to use it, I suppose, though. But now time for the most out-of-date thing in the game, the Global Terminal. An amazing and completely global terminal. This was the main use of the Wi-Fi connection in Gen 4. You could put Pokemon up for trade under any single requisites you wanted. Like, you could ask for a deliberately shiny, low-level version of Pokemons to raise, and if people found it and wanted to trade, they could. With that said, since the Nintendo Wi-Fi connection is down, you can no longer use this, barring, I think, maybe some sort of spoofed fan server kind of thing that might be up. I'm not entirely sure if there even is. The main reason I'm coming in here is to showcase this song, because it's fantastic. You can also use the Versus Recorder here a bit to showcase battle videos you made, view other people's. It was the community aspect of the game back when. It's dated, but it's fun to see how far we've come in that regard, even with Gen 8's own online problems. You can see other players in the field now, you can more directly talk to people. They've gotten better about this, in some ways since. With that said, since I'm not only emulating this, but the Wi-Fi connection's down, this entire place is entirely useless. Kinda sad, but it's the price, I guess, of progress in that regard, because there's no way they'd be keeping the Nintendo Wi-Fi connection on its own up forever. But with that, I'm going to need to end this off here. Thank you guys for watching, and in Part 7, we're going to be going into the Goldenrod Gym, taking care of it, and then moving on to whatever's next. See you guys then.